pray, because the situation is different. In Baghdad, we have all kind of sects. We have what you call philosophers there. We have Batiniya. We have also among the Muslim. They have different groups of people. So therefore, Imam Abu Hanifa, we have a lot non-Muslim. You have to explain Islam also through use the intellect more than just stick with the hadith like in Medina. So therefore, the whole story, when Imam Abu Hanifa went for Hajj, one of the Prophet grandchildren, his name Muhammad al-Baqir, when he met him, he was getting angry. He said, "Did you change the religion of my grandfather?" Can you imagine that? Look at Abu Hanifa, he was very tolerant. He didn't say, "No, that's just rumors." He said, "MashaAllah, you are the grandchildren of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Can we discuss the issue?" I said, "Yeah." He took a chair, they sit down, Imam Abu Hanifa sit down on the floor. Right? Said, "Imam, I have a question. The woman, when you're fasting, right, in Ramadan, so you did not fast and you don't what? Pray, right? When Ramadan over, do you have to qada to make up your fasting or your salah?" Huh? Fasting. Do you make up salah? No. Which one greater is it? Salah or fasting? Salah. When you die, the first thing Allah is going to ask about salah. Rasulullah SAW, when the last word said, "As-salah, as-salah." Different with Muslim is as-salah. Abu Hanifa said, "If I follow my opinion, I will ask all the sisters." If a father have girl and boy, they have $3,000. How much the boy will get? $2,000. The girl, 1,000. Boomer week. Perempuan lemah kan? Awal baik ya. If I follow my opinion, I will give to the girl 2,000 and the boy 1,000. But I don't do that because I follow the Sunnah of Muhammad. Right? No. Then also, if you run yet, kalau kita ke kamar mandi, kita kencing, you have to take shower or make wudu. Make wudu. But if you have relationship with your wife, orang mengeluarkan air mandi, they shower. Okay? So, which one is greater? Air kencing atau air mandi? Air kencing. Air mandi, according to Imam Shafi'i, is not najis. Right? If I follow my opinion, I ask anyone kencing to take shower. We have problem. Right? Every day. But I don't do that. Why? Because I follow the Sunnah. Subhanallah. Imam Muhammad Baqir stood up and kissed the forehead of Imam Abu Hanifa. They are very tolerant. Right? So we look into all the fiqh of all the Imam, right? And also, there is in Arabic the word called ta'ayush. Ta'ayush, that means you have to be able to live in peace and harmony even we are different. Right? If you come to masjid and the imam make kunut, and for you kunut not sunnah, what you have to do? Huh? Build another masjid? Imam Shafi'i said, if you come to masjid and everybody have one eyes, picture, he printed like this. Oh, saluan ya. Subhanallah. Yeah? Because Allah SWT said, وَلَوْ شَاءَ رَبُّكَ لَجَعَلَ النَّاسَ أُمَّةً وَاحِدَةً وَلَا يَزَالُونَ مُخْتَلِفِينَ. If Allah wants, Allah can make people just one. Right? And also, the different opinion of the ulama is to make it what? Easy. According to the Shafi'i, if the man taught his wife, break the wudu or not? Break wudu, right? No, kalau kita naik haji, bingung. Because sometimes we have to hold your wife. Shh, batal. Right? And you are in hospital now. According to Shafi'i, when you have to do tayammum, you have to do what? It's happened. Somebody asked the nurse, can you be us? From outside. Kotor, have to be wudu. Yeah, Imam Abu Hanifah, just anything. Or you are in airplane. Yeah, Subhanallah. Rasulullah, when he entered Medina, right? What the name of Medina before? Yathrib. He could change with what? Darul Hijrah, Darul Tiba. But he called what? Medina. Because Medina does not belong to Ansar, not belong to Muhajirin, for example. Everybody agree with it. Yeah? So the last one, can we fight? Can we fight?
No. So at least 10.
Something, yeah. Because we need to fight something.
Yeah.
Right? But how long we can fight? 3 days only. Right? You know, very interesting, why this universe, the sun, the moon, the galaxies, you know, they live in harmony and peace. Anybody can reason? Kenapa hidup mereka itu damai? Because they have distance. Right? If the sun and the earth, there's no, the distance is closer now, what happened? We burn, right? If too far, you're frozen. Even when you drive, if there's no distance, what happened? The accident. Even the words. In the word, if there's no in between, you cannot read the word. Right? So to have distance also is very important. Right? Look at before you marry with your wife, when you have distance, how look like? Everything beautiful. Right? You almost remember it, smiling. Yeah, one brother came to me. I remember every word what he said. But after marriage, as soon as she talks, she's free. Yeah. So distance also is very important in between imam and the boys. Because when boys are too close, what happened? That's what happened. You know, after marriage, what happened? Keindahan hilang. Does not mean had to be far, because the Quran mentioned relation between husband and wife is like what? Like a cloth. Right? Because you're wearing cloth, it's not nothing in between. But we have to know the function of cloth. What's the function of cloth? To protect. So you have to protect one another. What other function of cloth? Beautify. Right? Untuk memperindah. Yeah. So there is two things that the conclusion. Number one, you have to understand that ukhuwah, brotherhood is what? Wajib, like salat. What's the second one? You have to be what? Tolerance. Jazakallah khair. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
sekarang to Ustaz Imam Muhammad Joban. We have 10 minutes, so we'll try to get 3 questions. So please raise your hand. 1 from the sisters. Any question from the sisters? Or from the brothers again? Any? 2. The last one, last chance for sisters. Going once. Going twice. Any question from the sisters? If not, then okay, let's start with 2 questions first. Who is the first one?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Imam Shamsi and Imam Jaban. Very insightful and very enlightening. When we talk about unity within the Ummah, we look at the spread of the Ummah globally, and we know that there are at least 55 Muslim majority countries in the world. And they live in nations that are democratic, like Indonesia, but they also live in autocratic states, and I don't have to name them. But I was just curious, within Islam, what is the recommended system of governance? If we look at the continuum between democracy and also autocratic state, what is the ideal system of governance in Islam? Secondly, our ummah is normally united, but we became disunited normally during political seasons. In Indonesia, we know this. Obviously our ummah would support candidate A, some of our ummah would support candidate B. My question is, where should religious leaders stand within this political fray? Should they join the political force, or should they separate themselves and then ensure unity within the ummah, because the ummah is in every political force in the nation state? Thank you, Imam.
Right. We'll go to the next question first. Who is the second one?
Assalamualaikum. My name is Chris, so I want to vote. It's titled about unity together unity through community, strong and together. So for this perspective, I read a lot of Quran, so I vote to see from the Quran. So if you want to go to unity, should have the same purpose. I mean, general the same purpose. If they are different, so it's hard to unite. So that's why my question, when I ask to others community, I always ask what's the purpose of life. So Quran tell about that. There are many pages we know already. So one of them say, oh, Salam is to avoid hell or go to heaven. But Quran says not that. It's to be represent God in the world. So more whole things. So we including social, politics, everything. So that's what I am. So for this perspective, so Quran look like it tell also in Quran in Surah 3 and 163. It tell in front of that there is many level of awareness. So for that reason, the level of awareness is very important. So because every level of awareness they have own purpose. Like people who say, oh, my purpose of life is to happy to get to avoid hell and go to heaven. This is purpose of level 3. So there are 7 levels. As I see on the Quran, I will research about that. So there are 7 levels on the, but sure the level the top one should be represented God in the world. So I never, when I did community, I never Ummah about level of awareness. That's Surah 3 and verse 163. That's why it's very important. The purpose of life we know already. If we know math, something like math, so we know even though we are like master level 3, so we know our purpose is level 7. The purpose of to be in the earth. So my question, can you elaborate about the main level of the awareness and also purpose of life of mainland or something like that. That's what you know.
Right, that's all questions for today. I just summarized the questions. So there's 3 questions. First, what's the recommended system in terms of governance in our Muslim majority countries? Second question, what's an imam's position in a political contention in our countries? And third, the levels of awareness, right, and our purpose, like mentioned in the Quran. Is that something?
All right. Thank you, Pak Arif. Pak Arif is one of our prominent, excellent Indonesian diaspora in America. That he's with the World Bank, and he just ended up his responsibility as a special assistant to the Minister of Finance in Indonesia. Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Pak Arif. The questions are asked. It's a very sophisticated one. Number one is about the governmental system from an Islamic perspective, let's say. There is no black and white, if I may say. There is no black and white Islamic governmental system, if you may say in that way. What Islam basically provides is about the foundations on which that system should be established. And that foundation is, number one, certainly is justice and prosperity, inclusivity, being inclusive for all. And that's part of justice, of course. So if you see, for example, throughout the history of this ummah, from the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he did practice governments, of course, because he was a president, he was a king, while he was a prophet as well. But at the same time, he asked opinions from his sahabas. And sometimes even he sacrificed his own individual opinions and accepted the majority's opinions of the Sahaba. For example, the Perang Khandaq. You know that story, how Prophet Muhammad ﷺ wanted to defend Medina from inside of the city, but the majority of the Sahaba said, no, we have to defend the city from outside. So finally they gali parit from Khandaq from outside to defend the Medina at the time. So we see here how Prophet Muhammad ﷺ governed, and I can say that this is mostly close to possibly democracy that we are believing these days. I don't mean that democracy is Islamic or Islam is democracy, but I have to be honest that I don't see so far any governmental system which is closer to Al-Islam than democracy. Now, what about Khilafah? Khilafah is one of the systems, and it can be defined based on who basically is running the Khilafah itself. Because there are many Khalifas in the past. Some Khalifas are successful. For example, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, in 2 years, he eliminated poverty in his kingdom. In 2 years. Justice prevailed, prosperity prevailed, and that's called Khilafah as well. So again, it depends on how you manage a concept of government. All right? But once again, I have to be honest that in my own personal view, democracy at this time is the closest concept to the what Islam basically views about Islamic governance. And luckily enough that Indonesia and Malaysia as well among democratic Muslim nations, alhamdulillah. Of course, we may have different opinions. The next one is that our unity is threatened by political divides when we have political season. So what the state should do? You know, I have to be honest, I personally, when Joko Widodo was elected the first one, I supported him. And then the second one, I supported Pak Prabowo. You know, why I changed? People say, you're jumping from one to another, you are flip-flop. Apa bahasa Indonesianya itu? Kutu loncat. That's fine, kutu loncat. Now, there are many things, there are many reasons why I changed. But one of the most important reasons is I wanted to challenge myself. Do I support somebody for my own? Or for some ideals that I have? And believe me, even though that some of my friends from the other side, for example, Guru Bajang, while I was on the panggung when Pak Prabowo delivered a speech in Jakarta, I was on the main panggung. And Guru Bajang WhatsApp me, say, Imam, Imam Shamsi, do you support, are you there? Say, yes, I am. I'm sorry, we are different at this time. So it means between Ustad is fine. But we cannot say, oh, Ustad must be neutral. There is no one can be neutral basically in anything. No, we Ustad also humans. We have feelings, we have ideas, we have opinions. So to say that Ustad must be away, it is something, it is not practical, by the way. And it is, if I may say, you take away our human right. We have the right to choose. But what is most important for Ustad when you have to choose, that do not your choice sacrifice our common ground. And our common ground is Ukhuwah Islamiyah, unity. And that is to establish Indonesia, strong Indonesia, inshallah ta'ala. So either you elect Jokowi, you elect Prabowo, now even Jokowi and Prabowo is coming together, by the way. Our purpose is to make Indonesia greater, to make Indonesia better, to make Indonesia stronger. So Ustad must be involved. And Ustad must be the example for the rakyat, inshallah, for other people. Allah Akbar, the rest.
Yeah, just add a little bit, inshallah. A long time ago they have Islamic conference when all scholars come together and talk about the Islamic system, Islamic government. Like Ustaz Samsi Ali mentioned. But after they discuss how will we look like Islamic government, and they put the criteria for the principles, human rights, democracy, and all this. The closest to that formula or that idea, which country in America is? Not Saudi Arabia, not Iran, not Indonesia. If that kind of Islamic state will be what? New Zealand. Yeah. Islam teaches us what? Freedom, right? Cleanliness, everything. You will find in that country. That's the idea. The second one about the democracy, in Islam they call mashura. Because democracy, that means is opinion according to majority. In Washington State, for example, gays marriage is legal, no? Because what? The majority. In Islam, yes, Rasulullah accepted when the majority agree with something, even he not agree. But when it comes to principle of the deen, of Quran, Sunnah, we didn't have any discussion. We just samina wa ata'na. Right? And the last one is very important. So somebody mentioned that, sometimes why is the oppression, the evil, is spread everywhere? Not because the evil people or the oppression is greater. Because of what? The silence of the good people, including Ustad. Right? When the people are silent, they are good. So be careful. In Islam, silence is not save you. Remember when Allah mentioned about the story of those who are fishing on Saturday? People divide into three groups, right? Those who are fishing, and what? Those who are not fishing, but is silent. What the third one? The one who remind them, hey man, don't fish, man. Allah will send punishment. The second group who did not fish, he said, man, it's not your business. What did he say? The third group said, right? Ma'diratan ila rabbikum. At least I have excuse in their journey. Allah, I did my job. When Allah punished them, Allah changed them become monkey. Which group? The first one and second one. The one who did fish and also what? A silent. So silence is a danger. So we have to involve. Right?
Would you respond to the last question about the purpose of life, elaborate more, and then what awareness in terms of when we establish our community?
It's very important that it is very important that his question is very important that when we focus to our purpose, the reason that we started fighting because we forget what the purpose is. Right? Especially when you are in the masjid, in the community. Right? So which one is important in this? To pray 20 rakat or 8 rakat? What's important in salat? You know, sometimes people 20 rakats. You know how many know? Even we are always focused to the target. When you make subhanallah, how many times after talat? Subhanallah, subhanallah. How many times? 33, right? So we was subhanallah. Somebody comes, salam. Oh man, you bother me how many? Because what? Our target is not to make dhikr to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but the numbers, right?
Yeah, so I think coming to the purpose of life and the awareness, I just wanted to add to what Ustad Jaban mentioned. What I think we need to correct is about our mindset. So when you talk about the purpose of life as to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا يَعْبُدُونَ, it goes back to how we define it, the definition of that. What is the meaning of worship for me? And if worship for me is just to pray 5 times daily, to do fasting in Ramadan, and that's what it is. But if we understand that worship is the whole life from A to Z, in and out, that's what it is. You are all coming here to Muktamar to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not only to listening to the lectures, not only to meet your friends, socializing with one another, but your presence here is a form of ibadah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Eating after this is a part of ibadah. If we understand that life as ibadah in that mindset, in that definition, then that's what it is. This is the purpose of life. That everything else is intended to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from morning to night, night to morning, 24 hours. And that's one of the most important characteristics of this deen. Some Americans even turned to Islam because of this. So the other day, a Buddhist came to us, white American, but he's a Buddhist. And he came, he said, I wanted to be a Muslim. I wanted to learn Islam. I said, what is your religion? He said, I'm a Buddhist. I said, Buddhist, why you wanted to learn Islam? He said like this, as a Buddhist, every time that I feel hungry, it means spiritual hunger. I enter into my room, I close my eyes, I did my meditation, I feel satisfaction. But the moment I left my room, I'm lost. I want a religion that can lead me, can guide me in 24 hours, 7 days. So I say, you got it. So we began to talk about how Islam guides us. From the beginning of the day till the end of the day, coming back to the beginning of the day, Islam guides in 24 hours. And everything that we do is a part of that, our worship. So again, that's the purpose of life. And we affirm about that وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ. So it is very important that we set that purpose of life, inshallah. Whatever you do, become a billionaire, become politician, senators, congressmen, or women, or whatever you want to do in life, you are worshipping Allah through those things, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh.
Alhamdulillah, we say Jazakumullahu ahsana jaza to our speakers. Before we close, I just want to summarize. So from Imam Shamsi Ali, right? He gave the formula. First one, how to have our unity is to first to have taqwa, and then to establish ukhuwah, wa'tasimu bihablillah, our unity, and then third, we have to improve our social awareness. Wa minkum ummatun yad'una ila al-khair. And then the community that we want to build is not just like any community, but the akhirah oriented community, and that we are khairu ummah, that excellent community. And from Ustad Muhammad Joban, we learned that first we have to really consider and believe that ukhuwah is fardu ain, right? It's wajib, just like praying. And then second point is we have to know our main obstacle, which is Adam tasamum, which is we are not tolerant. So we have to be tolerant. Jazakallah khairan ala husni istimaikum. Thank you very much for your coming. May Allah, may that knowledge be beneficial for us, inshallah. And let's close the session with Surah Al-Asr and Dua Kafaratul Majlis. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wal 'asr innal insana fi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa 'amilus salihati wa tawassaw bil haqqi wa tawassaw bis sabr. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.